over. Final hit. Flamer's auto hit. Securing flank. Flamer's auto hit. Oi! us to victory. Aye, aye, Valkyrie. Aye, us to victory.
What's on the hobby table today? It's heads. It's heads and berets. We're painting these guys. And how are we doing, Band of Goblins? How was your Sunday? And I'm only going to be filming for just a tiny bit tonight. Just enough to get some of the heads done. That's a lot of head. Yeah. Doing well. Quiet day. Well, quiet days are always good days. Oh, man. Trying to get all the skin even on the face. Ooh. All right. Having to paint skin is why I don't play guard. It's not that skin tones are bad or difficult. It's the fact that it's all the eyeballs. It's such fine detail. The eyeballs is what kills me. I either get them pretty dead on or I get them all wall-eyed or mismatched or misleveled and shit. I don't know how people paint eyeballs. I really don't. You have to have a lot of talent and extreme patience to do eyeballs with any sort of accuracy without making them look outrageously cartoonishly large. All right, I'll be right back. I'm just gonna go get some water. I've seen people say paint them black and then two white dots on either side of them. Yeah, I do. I do the reverse. I paint white and then put a black dot in the middle, or at least try and do the middle. Oh, whew. I gotta finish my daughter's skinks. That's just a lot of shields, though, to do, so I just gotta knuckle down and do those so that way she can start painting them. Right. So I have two black, two white, two semi-tan, and then two darker, kind of tan, olive skinned. So we'll do a white, color you. We're watching some cool Skaven lore videos. Lore videos about the Skaven are always fun. Yeah, this poor bastard. This is what I mean. If I can get the camera to zoom in. Come on, zoom in, you bastard. Alright, well, I'll force it like this. Yeah, this poor bastard. He's wall-eyed. Oh, I gotta fix his eyeballs. The camera says no. Yeah, the camera doesn't want to show you the horror of his wall-eyed form. Yeah, eyes are tough, I find. They really are. Even Space Marine lenses, they're only one color unless you want to do the little lens gleam. And those are tough too. Actually, let's work smarter, not harder. There we go. Much better. Mo. Hold on. woke up for no reason. You're looking like a man contemplating a right flight now. I'm sorry. I was trying to find some decent camo patterns, or sorry, some decent Harlequin patterns for some of the guest stuff. My bad. I was like deep in thought. For Quackamole's solitaire. Sometimes I wish the military hadn't ruined my circadian rhythm, changing shifts all the time. Oh yeah, man. That's it's definitely a struggle. It's definitely a struggle. I'll tell you. I'm on days, but our day shift is so weird. Like, I have to prep our guys to go to work by like guard mounts at 4:30. The later guard mount, the main guard mounts at 4:30. And so if you do backwards planning, right? So if guard mounts at 4:30 or 4:20, really, um, you got to be armed up by 4 o'clock, which means you got to be at the armory by 3:45. Early guard mount is stepping out to go to work by 4 o'clock, so they got to be there by 3:45, and everyone else can kind of trickle in. And then, so if you're there by 3:45, you got to leave the house by because I live on base by you know 3:35 at the latest, because it takes me about 7 minutes to get there, and then I got to wake up. And because I'm a slow waking up kind of a guy, I have to wake up at like 2:30. Shit sucks. Yeah, sorry. I was trying to find good Harlequin like checkerboard patterns I could do. Don't know if I'm going to be able to do them freehand, but I'm going to try. Yark? Oh, Bubbas. I wouldn't wish security forces on anyone. Uh, you know, I I don't regret it. I don't regret being in security forces. I don't regret being in security forces at all. I will say it does take a special kind of psychopath to enjoy the 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 climate and career, like the career climate and the professional climate, and like the semi-army climate, like semi kind of army stylized climate that is security forces. Because realistically, compared to all the other career fields, security forces is the only career field consistently that still does military formations, still that arms up every day with a rifle and a pistol, an M4, or in this case an M4A2, um, and then a M9 and M18, um, and we're still carrying rounds, and unless you're in a lower FP con status, you're carrying your plates with you. You have your kit bag with your helmet and, cold weather gear, warm weather gear, a reflective belt, a reflective vest, your clipboard, your notebook, your pen, your light, your whistle. Like, I mean, you've got, it's a gear thing. This was years ago, but our acting shirt tried to hang out in the graveyard. He went to make sure the FS guys were okay, find them asleep. Yeah, I mean, that happens. I hate to say it. I hate to say it, but security forces, like if you're not with it when it comes to um, like the night shift, it's a struggle. I after damn near 17 years of security forces, if I'm working nights, it's a fucking struggle. It hurts. It really does. And waking up early for day shifts hurts too. It's like a mental challenge. You're kind of drained at the end of the day, and sometimes you don't sleep well. I sure as fuck don't. I mean, that's why I got a CPAP. Um, because I got mild sleep apnea. But yeah, he was able to take the firearm off without them waking up. Yeah, see, that's them playing with fire. I don't do that. Don't ever do that. If there are military folks watching this stream right now, do not ever try and pull some slick shit like that. Like, I get it. You are emphasizing the point that these guys were asleep on post, but don't do that stuff. Just wake them up. Get get their get their flight chief out there and let the flight chief handle it. Don't don't do some slick shit because that's a good way of getting you killed. Um, uh, yeah, I've heard stories of like flight chiefs being able to take rifles and all that stuff. Don't do that. Just if you find one of your troops sleeping, like obviously you have to do what's expected, right? Article 92 violation of the UCMJ. You cannot fall asleep on post, especially while armed up. You know, you know, improper conduct of a posted sentry. You know, but um, you could also do Article 92 of the UCMJ, a failure to obey a lawful order or regulation. Uh, PRP based, so dull sword incident. I mean, yeah, yeah, but that's what I'm trying to get at. Is that um, like it's a big deal. If any cop gets caught falling asleep, it's a big deal. the The thing is that you don't want to be doing extra shit. You've already found somebody not doing their job. Uh, don't compile that with doing some goofy ass nonsense of like, oh, I'm gonna make this even more shitty for them. Like, no, they're already gonna be in the doghouse for a very long time. Um, Take it from a guy who's seen airmen get in trouble for falling asleep on post, right? It's a no no. You lose stripes over that shit. Um, so, but don't compile that. Yeah, if I was that dude, if I was the flight chief and I heard that the first sergeant did something like that, I would take some serious issue. I would actually have more issue with him doing that than the fact that he found them sleeping on post. I mean, both are equally bad, but I'd be like, what the hell are you doing there, Diamond? That like, I get it. You're trying to emphasize the point that they were actually literally asleep, and so sound asleep that you were able to affect their arming status. But like, bro, no. Yeah, no, I don't do that stuff. Don't do that stuff. That's a good way of getting hurt, or that's a good way of really, um, um, yeah, yeah. Just a lot of bad can come from that. Yeah, I mean, don't fuck around with the weapon. Just let the like, it, and I say this to any new flight chief if they're like, hey man, I've had other flight chiefs come up to me and be like, hey man, I want your opinion on this, and they'll tell me. And 9 times out of 10, it's like they've got a guy that's falling asleep on post. I'm like, like, okay, all right, you want to fall asleep on post, or you got somebody that fell asleep on post. All right, well, is the kid a shithead? Like, obviously he's breaking the regulation, and obviously he needs to be held accountable, or she needs to be held accountable. But you also got to take into effect other factors, right? You can't just make a disciplinary issue simply um, solely based off of uh, the immediate evidence around you. You have to do some digging, and that's what security forces is. They're law. We're a law enforcement, career field, but our job is to fact find. We drill down until we can't drill down any further, or it requires more extensive investigation. In which case, we either hand it off to our investigation section, or we hand it off to OSI. I mean, that's how we do it. But if I came at if I found an airman who was sleeping on post, yes, the punishment thing needs to happen, but I would also want to try and take care of that person. Like, and take care of them in a rehabilitative way, not just take care of them in the euphemistic kind of way. I'd take care of that person. Find out, hey, are you sleeping? What kind of sleep do you have? What's your sleep hygiene? Walk me through your nightly routine, all that stuff. Because the worst thing I want to do is just write somebody off as fucking lazy because if they have something, right? Like, I had, and I didn't know this at the time, but I had insomnia induced, uh, I had insomnia problems, right? I couldn't fall asleep, couldn't stay asleep, all that stuff. Well, come out later, like damn near 10 years later, it's sleep apnea. That's what's fucking up my sleep schedule. It's not that I can't sleep. It's you don't put old Yeller down for a thorn in his paw, etc. Well, I mean, look, there are definitely some airmen that you give second and third chances to, and they just continue to dig themselves a grave, and you're just like, oh well, that sucks. Um, but uh, I hate being a hypocrite. So if I ever see someone like drifting, like fighting the sleep monster, where they're just like rah, rah, and they're just like they're head bobbing or they drift a little bit, and I start like, and maybe if I'm driving, right, if I'm on a patrol and I've got like three people or whatever the case is, or two people with me, and I hear somebody snoring, I'll throw something at them. Hey, wake up, man! Can't be doing that. Are you crazy? I give them a chance to correct themselves. Um, I mean, it's game over if someone else outside of the chain of command finds them, or someone inside the chain of command finds them that's higher than me. It's game over at that point. I got to do what I got to do. But at the same time, a lot of people are so quick for punishment and wanting swift action, which, I mean, you always, as a leader, you always want to hand out swift actions because then you can try and rehabilitate that person um, after the disciplinary action. Um, but in my experience, I definitely do not want to be a hypocrite because I was an airman like that where I was working nights. I couldn't fucking for the life of me fall asleep. Uh, so the docs put me on some hardcore sleeping medication that screwed me up even more. Like I was taking 20 milligrams of Ambien every other day, trying to chase sleep. When in all actuality, it was sleep apnea that was screwing me up. Um, Granted, I don't take Ambien anymore, but mainly because they were about to med board me again for the Ambien. I was like, absolutely not. Let's not do that. Um, but yeah, man, it's fucking wild. Sometimes that shit happens, and sometimes it's to like your best troop. Your best troops could screw up. Your golden child can screw up. Rehabilitate. Is that a made up word? My unit just gave him an LOR and moved on. So, okay, all right. So that is a method of rehabilitation. Um, that's actually really lenient that they gave him an LOR and nothing more. They could have taken a stripe. They could have put him on a UIF, which is a unfavorable information profile. They could have done a lot with somebody falling asleep on post, particularly at a PRP base. Um, but they didn't. And so that's a version of rehabilitating. We could hammer you with the full weight of the UCMJ, but we're going to scale this back a little bit. We're going to give you this paperwork. An LOR is a letter of reprimand for those of you who aren't Air Force savvy or Army savvy or Marines savvy, or sorry, Army, Air Force, Marines, Navy, like military savvy in general. I don't know if letters of reprimand are the same, um, but yeah, or carry the same weight with all the other sister services. But in the Air Force, you have this. It's what's called the progressive scale of discipline. You have your verbal counseling, which is basically your supervisor saying, "Hey, you screwed up this thing. Stop being a fuck up." Right? Then you have your um, Air Force Form 174, which is a record of individual counseling. We call it a RIC. Or you have an MFR, which is a memorandum for record. RIC and MFR are both equal, but a RIC is easier to fill out, and an MFR you don't have to follow the tongue and quill formatting process. Or sorry, an MFR you have to follow the tongue and quill formatting process, and you have to make sure that it's the up-to-date template. A RIC, you just make sure that the RIC is up to date with the form number and all that stuff, and then you just fill out the infraction and then you do it that way. So most people have switched over to RICs instead of MFRs. Then you have letters of counseling, LOCs, which is the next step up after RICs. Then you had um, LORs, which is LOAs, which is letters of admonishment, and that's like the next step up, um, which are stronger than LOCs, and then you have LOR, which is letter of reprimand, which is basically you fucked up so bad, I am reprimanding you. I am like this is not just a documentation of the fact that you screwed up so badly, but a documentation of you screwed the pooch so badly that it caused second, third, fourth order effects to happen to where the mission didn't necessarily get. I mean, if you write it correctly, the mission does get hindered, and the mission, and depending on how bad the infraction is, the mission could be hindered. So LOR is the highest before you get into non-judicial punishment, which is the commander taking stripes, putting you on a control roster, putting you on an a unfavorable information profile or personnel. Sorry, UIF, unfavorable information file, uh, control roster, all that stuff. My squadron just did LORs. You rarely saw LOC and LOC. Yeah, that's kind of bad in my opinion. Like, I don't mean to talk shit on your maintenance squadron, but that's kind of like bad practice. If all you're doing is churning out LORs, sooner or later it's going to lose its sting. Um, there's gradients for a reason. Now, granted, if someone's not following like the TO and they do something stupid, yeah, of course they're going to get an LOR. If someone is at, if someone's at QA, quality assurance, and they're quizzing all of your guys and your guys look like a bunch of fucking idiots, yeah, I could see, or they give the wrong goddamn answer even though they got the TO in front of them. Yeah, I could see that being LOR worthy, but um, I would consider a blanket like, hey, let's not just go straight to LOR because then you have no room to move aside Article 15 NJP. Oh, it was horrible. It was a good old boys club. Ah, yeah, yeah. Cop shops and maintenance squadrons are unfortunately kind of notorious for that. Um, I've been to one good old boy cop squadron, and that was not fun. So I can only imagine what a maintenance group looks like with a good old boy system. But at the same time, you can ignore that shit. That's the one thing I did like about the Air Force is that even if you did have a good old boy system, 9 times out of 10, you could still do really well and be outside of that good old boys club, and they're forced to recognize you. Like I've been on the receiving end of the forced recognition. Let me tell you, that was funny. Like, oh man, why am I getting tired? I know why I'm getting tired. I was up at 2:30 this morning. If I can just like stick with it for another hour and just finish most of the faces and skin, that'd be great. That's what I want to do. I wasn't real liked in my section, but I was reliable. They gave me a cup that says "I hate everybody I work with." I love those kind of going away gag gifts that are just like, "Oh, here you go, dude," and you're just like, "Yep, yep." Well, my first going away gag gift was I don't have it anymore, uh, but it was a I don't have it because I couldn't ship it. I think that's what happened. Basically, I got into a car accident with a government vehicle. Not entirely my fault. Um, I was cleared of any wrongdoing. Uh, but as I was and how the accident happened was I was on the flight line. I drove into a area of construction on the flight line, and I remember my flight chief at the time saying, "Hey, there's open construction in your sector. Do not drive into the construction area because there's open gas pipes or there were or exposed gas pipes, not open but exposed gas pipes." So me remembering that as I'm driving, as I find my way into the construction site by accident, purely by accident. I wasn't really paying attention at the time. I was talking to my alpha, and my alpha was talking to me. We were bouncing questions off each other for training for our QC. And the next thing my alpha's telling me is, "Hey, I think I was a senior airman at the time. He's like, "Hey, senior airman, there's there's a bunch of construction cones around this area. Are we supposed to be here?" And of course, I then kind of keyed in, basically being like, "Oh, no, we're not." Now, what happened next was what I should have done correctly was tell my alpha to get out, watch his footing, and go back me up, right? Because if I hit the car in reverse, I need a spotter to back you up. And that's with any Air Force government vehicle, right? Um, but I didn't do that because I wanted to get the hell out of there because I remember the briefing where it was like, hey, there could be exposed, gas pipes. You need to not be in there. It's not safe. So I throw the car in reverse and I'm maneuvering around. And then as I'm about to leave the facility, I clip and crush the back bumper of my patrol vehicle into a fire hydrant. Not my proudest moment. Definitely embarrassing. And I was so angry at myself. I was so angry at myself. Oh my God, I was so angry at myself. I was beyond pissed. Uh, so I was in the doghouse at RAF Lakenheath for a little bit. And then I think what pulled me out of the doghouse realistically was the fact that I was so upset. Well, at least you didn't drive a forklift into an aircraft. That happened at a different base. We got to see pictures of it. I mean, yeah, a lot of people, aircraft accidents, whether it's the aircraft itself or people running into the aircraft, it happens. But I truly think what pulled me out of the doghouse earlier than I had anticipated or expected was the fact that I took the punishment really seriously, which was I had to brief the commander, or first make PowerPoint slides about vehicle safety, then brief the commander on how many vehicles went down, brief him the numbers it takes to repair them, brief the numbers of personnel, like standing by waiting for them to be repaired so they can go to work or modify, um, you know and I took it seriously. I did a lot of research on everything that they asked me to, and it wasn't it wasn't the commander directly because I think it was his ops officer that I had to brief it first time around, and it was my ops superintendent that heard my brief. And of course, I'm in full service dress and all that stuff, yada yada. I'm getting my humble pie because I screwed up. Um, the ops officer pulled me aside, I think a day after, and he was just like, "Hey, I want to make sure that." At first, he asked if I was okay because I had stuff going on in my life, and I just didn't want to burden my 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 NCO, my staff sergeant at the time. Um, but afterwards, after they did all their checks and the squad commander got the English edibles, all that stuff. Um, you know, he's like, "Hey, you're taking this kind of really seriously. We appreciate that you're like trying to be as genuine as possible. Uh, Here you go." And he basically gave me like a day or two to process my feelings. I mean, he basically said you should go to mental health because there's a lot of anger. He even heard it in my voice that there was a lot of anger and self frustration about it. And he's like, I want you to go to mental health so that way they can clear you and then you can come back and whatever the case is. So I did, and it was fine. Um, and I talked about my feelings, and mental health gave me the big old thumbs up, and they said, yeah, he's good to work. Oh my lord, Jesus Christ! So I guess in a long-winded and roundabout way, I'm advocating for people to actually like investigate before calling security forces or whatever the case might be for whatever infraction, just to make sure that the person that you are suspecting of like missing work and all that stuff, or whatever they're going through, isn't something developmental or there's no underlying emotional baggage that they're working through, etc., etc. Um, and yeah, there's that. All right. Oh my God, I am so tired. This is like the third or fourth, fifth yawn, actually. I really don't want to call it, but my eyes are actually really burning. I'll finish this head and then I'll call it because like I do want to work on all the heads um for my guardsmen for the Tempestus Scions, but I mean I made some pretty decent progress. Only got like a handful left, but I don't want to push it. I really don't, because when you're tired, you make mistakes and then you get really sloppy. And I don't like being sloppy on my models. Oh, good lord. Oh, you know what? I do need some more water. Be right back. Good lord, I am fucking struggling. My eyes are really heavy. All right. But how are we doing today, Phaedros? Sorry, I know you said hi. We were talking military discipline and all that stuff. Hope Phaedros you're doing well. That cup of water certainly helped a little bit. And I hope, by the way, Band of Goblins, I hope you're doing well too. What are you working on? Good old Band of Goblins. And Phaedros, if you're still in the chat, what are you guys working on? Hope something cool. Nothing currently, just unable to sleep right now. Oh yeah, it's always not fun. I definitely feel you, my man. Not being able to sleep is a fucking struggle. I'll tell you that. one more. That head's done. We just got to do eyeballs and stuff. But I I fear I might have to end it here, guys, because my eyeballs are really burning, which means that I need to get sleep. So I don't want to quit because I feel like I'm in the painting groove, but at the same time, I also don't want to push it either. And Band of Goblins, I hope that you try and get some sleep too. Um, and don't push yourself either, especially if you have to work tomorrow. I'd rather you not get in any sort of trouble based off of my behalf, as much as I am entertaining. A man's got to sleep. Yeah, I know, I know. Hopefully, my hope is that tomorrow I'll probably do. Take care. I appreciate you. I will be streaming tomorrow. I'll be streaming in the morning and throughout the day, probably after my PT. And then Monday night I definitely will be streaming, and then Friday and then Tuesday morning I will be streaming too because I don't have training that day. And then of course Wednesday, Thursday we work, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Um, I knew I wasn't probably going to get a whole lot done today, but I'm starting to feel I'm hurting. The fatigue is actually really setting in pretty bad. But thank you everyone for watching, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about security forces a little bit and like the kind of the inner workings of the Air Force when it comes to like discipline and all that stuff. Um, but thank you everyone for watching. Um, my name is Commissar Hecht. I do enjoy talking to you guys, so if you see me online and you want to say hi and we can just shoot the shit as we paint and all that stuff, I'm perfectly fine with that. Join me on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Kick, and Instagram. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Hope you all have a lovely evening and a wonderful Turkey Day that's coming up for American Thanksgiving. If I don't get to see you guys before then. But anyway. Or if you don't get to see me before then, because I will be streaming, but, all that stuff. But anyway, I will talk to you guys later. Thank you all for watching. Bye bye.